Magic Knight Rayearth released in 1995 for the Sega Saturn in Japan to generally positive reviews, then ended up getting picked up by Working Designs to be translated and released in North America. After a lengthy delay, it finally released in December 1998, making it an extremely rare late release for the platform. In fact, if you watch the end credits closely, you can see a special thanks to the player for being patient. How nice. I'm not going to go into why it took 3 years for the game to finally come out on the Saturn, but I will say that I'm very glad it did. Magic Knight Rayearth is a charming action-adventure with light RPG elements and lots of whimsy and heart. You play Hikaru, Umi, and Fu, 3 students who are attending Tokyo Tower for a field trip. After being magically whisked away to the land of Sephiroth, they then embark on a quest to awaken the ancient machines, which are the only things who can stop Zagato or Zagat or Ziggy or whatever who has captured the princess of the land. Wandering around monster-riddled storybook lands in Magic Knight Rayearth has never been so much fun, with the 3 girls being able to use several different kinds of magic and their own weapons to fight off Zagat's minions. Each character has their own kind of magic they can use. Hikaru is a powerful fire magic user, Umi uses water, and Fu uses wind magic. This coincides with their personalities, with Hikaru being quite hot-tempered, Umi being cold and ice-like, and Fu being windy, I guess? Apparently healing magic used by Fu falls under wind. Is it because she's smart? Doctors are smart, so maybe there's a connection there. Who knows? Speaking of Fu, she's quite an interesting character. You can play each character by cycling through them using L and R, and each one has a different weapon with a swing, stab, or arrow seeking their foe. The issue is Fu, once unlocked, has a chargeable attack that fires homing arrows at enemies. Once you end up realizing this, you can just wander around firing charged arrows and essentially win every encounter you have this way. There are obviously caveats to this, but ultimately I ended up using Fu almost constantly throughout the game because she can A, heal herself without a potion, and B, fire homing arrows that make short work of most enemies without you even needing to face them. This is a balance issue, and very noticeable while you're playing. That said, you do have to use Hikaru and Umi at times, whether it be for simple puzzles involving starting or putting out fires, or simply because Hikaru's flash magic is insanely strong. Too bad you get it so late in the game that it's almost useless. Speaking of playing, you'll wander around Sephiroth using a world map which can be traversed by simply moving between significant sites in the game. Some of them have big towns, some small buildings, and not much else. But outside of monster and boss battling, you can find rainbow gems to unlock items you can't buy through regular stores, or simply find your next objective and continue the story. If this sounds linear, it is. This is not a Shining Wisdom style game where you have to wander around the overworld figuring out what to do next. The game flat out tells you what you need to be doing most of the time. It's not a flaw because the momentum is great, but if you like your action adventure or RPG games more open, then you'll be a little bit disappointed. What about the presentation? Well, I love the hand-drawn style of the backgrounds, and the animation on the sprites is really fun and expressive. The Working Designs translation often catches a lot of heat for being silly, but I did find it quite fun. And there are humorous moments scattered throughout the game, like a bug spooking one of the girls and the game just flat out pointing out where the bug is to the player. It's comical and light-hearted for the most part, and with just enough schmaltz scattered around to cater for even the most jaded player. There is quite a bit of voiceover which is adequate, and a handful of reasonably well-compressed Cinepack clips from the Magic Knight anime that act as cutscenes bookending the adventure. Magic Knight Rayearth isn't amazing by any means, but it is still engrossing, massive fun to play, and really charming. The game oozes style with nicely drawn graphics and cloud and mist effects, and the soundtrack and use of anime cutscenes is really quite endearing. The gameplay is decent with responsive controls, and although the gameplay is very linear, there is still something very absorbing about it that kept me hooked. The idea of swapping the girls out and using their individual magic and weapons to overcome obstacles is good in theory, but ends up being unbalanced, and it definitely could have used side quests or something alike to keep it going. I, however, would still highly recommend Magic Knight Rayearth to any Saturn fan who has the means to play it.